Assalamu alaikum. I'm in the offices of Shaykh Amer and Shaykh Ruzwan here today talking about iSyllabus. Shaykh Amer and Shaykh Ruzwan are the founders of iSyllabus in Glasgow, and I'm sure a lot of listeners out there have heard of iSyllabus, but we'll get more from our two guests, and I'll begin with Amer. Shaykh Amer, iSyllabus, where did it all start? Where did it all come from?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Well, it probably dates back to when I first met Shaykh Ruzwan in Syria. We were both studying there together, and when you hear somebody's from the same city as you find out who this person is, and you go and see them. So I suppose it began from there, and as we were studying, we kind of used to discuss about the community and what needs to happen. And there was an agreement that obviously that there needs to be a more prolific education system.
So there was a need within the community to avoid sort of thing within the community.
Yeah, because you reflect on your own experiences, isn't it? When you're a kid, and the education that you got, and it wasn't enough to prepare you for life. It wasn't enough for when you went to university, to deal with non-Muslims, even yourself. How you understood your faith. So there was you knew from your own personal experience. So we knew that we want to come back one day and inshallah try and change that for the next generation. So from there, it was kind of very, just an idea. And then when I came back, finishing off my studies from Yemen in late 2008, that's when Shaykh Ruzwan, I spoke to him again. He'd been here for a couple of years before me, and we had different ideas and we discussed it. And then thereafter we spoke to some people in the community in terms of what they wanted from us, and nearly all of them said we want to study Islam, but in a way that it makes sense in Scotland in modern day life. So it has to be true to the tradition, but it has to make sense as well. So then we asked them, okay, well, how much can you commit? We initially wanted to do a 4-year course, but most people weren't.
Quite a commitment.
People wouldn't commit to that. So then we said, look, what's possible? 2 evenings a week. That's what we wanted. People said, no, make it 1 evening a week. Make it for 1 year. And so that's where the journey kind of began. Then we started discussing what we'd put into it, what we want people to take away from it. So now really it's a 1-year course covering 15 different modules, and the idea is to give a person a solid foundation in the various Islamic sciences, and giving them a deep understanding of their faith as it relates to them living in the West.
Okay. Now, obviously, we're talking about the void within the community of Islamic education. Shaykh Ruzwan, in terms of the material, how did you find fit what the material was for this particular course?
If you look back, when I started studying Islam, there was a lot of questions, many questions I had, and many people giving different opinions, different interpretations. It took me almost 20 years to reach conclusions on those questions, and it meant I had to travel all over the Middle East, questioning people, collecting information. But if somebody was to give me that when I was in Glasgow, just before I started studying, and said, this is my experience over 20 years, and I put it into one course, and if you learn this, inshallah, it'll be a representative of what you learn if you study, for example, another 20 years. That's really what would be the best gift to give somebody, and that's really what the course is. It's collecting information, knowledge from our rich tradition of Islamic scholarship, and putting it into a year's course, so that is almost like a gold mine of wisdom that can sustain a person for a long period of time. So all the kind of questions you find people giving different answers about, here we've tried to give the most balanced kind of collection of opinions, and also opinions that are more attuned to people living in the West as well. So it's true to the tradition, but also it gives a lot of kind of the gems of Islamic scholarship that are obviously part of our tradition.
Very practical and very relevant.
Very relevant, but also authoritative. I mean, you can't sneeze at the course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you travel to any Muslim country, the answers you get in the iSyllabus will be the same ones the Mufti of that country will give you.
Sure. And
I always mention this to students. If they say, well, I've heard some other opinion, I say, I'll buy you a ticket to any great Muslim country, go to the biggest institution, ask the same question, I guarantee you'll get the same answer as iSyllabus. So when I say that, no one can argue with you on that point, in terms of its its trustworthy nature.
Excellent. In terms of the, obviously this is the fourth year now into, I think it's fourth year.
Fourth year will be
Fourth
running
year
in Glasgow.
running is Glasgow, and you've expanded into other cities within the UK, Edinburgh, Bradford, and Birmingham as well. How's the expansion been? How have you seen that?
Alhamdulillah, obviously Glasgow's our base, and inshallah we'll always will
Inshallah,
be, 'cause we're
inshallah.
from here. So I mean, alhamdulillah, it's gone from strength to strength every year. I mean, even the first year we thought, well, maybe 30, 40 people interested. We had 120. We thought, well, it's just the first year.
Yeah.
The following year it went up 150, and it's just been going up every single year. So there's a huge thirst out there, massive demand, and then there were people in other cities also asking, can you bring it to us? Edinburgh will be inshallah running it for the third year again. Every year the intake is higher. We're now getting people from Dundee asking us. Bradford, inshallah, we'll be doing it for the second year there, and Birmingham for the first year. But there's lots of cities that are crying out for a course like this in 1 year, just in one year. And it's really, if you think about it, it's an academic year, so it's 10 months. 10 months, 1 evening a week, which is doable by anybody. Anyone
It's a
can
commitment
commit
that
that.
everybody can afford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 months is not a huge time, but the amount that you gain in that 10 months, and that's students obviously tell us, and you see it as well. It makes you very happy when at the end of the course, when you see students, how their thinking has developed and how open-minded they've become, and tolerant of other people, and respect difference of opinion. That makes me really
It's
happy.
the fruits of the work that you put in.
Yeah, and that's all just in 10 months.
Excellent.
It's
Excellent.
interesting. I was a couple of days ago. I was in a radio program, and there's two people there raising money for a Islamic centre. I walked in. I sort of recognised them. When I sat down, we were introduced. We came to know that they were actually students that attended the iSyllabus course.
The
And
very
from
first one,
attending the
yeah.
iSyllabus course, they thought of an initiative to set up a Islamic centre in their locality.
Excellent.
And I just couldn't recognise the people until they actually said, "Well, we were students of yours."
Yeah.
And we find that in Glasgow specifically, even Edinburgh and Bradford as well, people that are very active in the community are coming to the course, and then their own works, you're really going from strength to strength as well. And that's a lot to do with the students' input that they put
Absolutely.
in. It empowers them, it gives them the confidence to speak about things. It also gives them the humility to remain silent when they don't know the answer. So that's, it's something to be proud of in terms of a teacher teaching and knowing the students taking that on.
This was probably people listening out there who are probably on that thing whereby they're thinking about iSyllabus, should I or should I not? It's an Islamic course, but what makes iSyllabus unique or stands out from the rest of them, would you say?
I think if you look at the students that have attended, we've had people that just became Muslim, attended the course, and they come up the top in terms of exams, right at the top of the students. There's people that are from completely different backgrounds, all benefiting in their own way. There's single mums, there's people with large families, there's older people, there's younger people. It's such a great mix of students, and they're all focusing on the same thing, and all of them benefit. So when we read the kind of testimonials, when we read their kind of how they judge the course, it really does surprise you. You don't speak to them during the class that much about this, but when they put it down on a piece of paper that this is the practical things that have changed in their lives. Some people say it's life changing. When you hear that kind of language, you actually get quite humbled, because it's making a big difference on them. Sometimes you don't notice that.
Absolutely.
And so if you want to kind of have that experience, what are they experiencing? Then to try it out, see if it's for you, and guarantee you put the effort in, you'll get the rewards, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, fantastic. In terms of the subject that you teach, it's a general question. What's your favourite subject that you teach at Amer, Shaykh Amer?
Oh, it's got to be family. The family module,
Family
marriage and
module.
divorce. Yeah, that's my cup of tea.
Excellent.
And that's where it really, I always do it the last lesson of the evening, because last lesson of the evenings, people are tired
And stuff, yeah.
Switch off. But as soon as you start in marriage, it's that kind of topic, isn't
Everybody's
it?
back up again.
You see people just come alive,
Yeah.
and everyone's paying attention, and everyone's listening, and it's question after question after question, because for a lot of people, it's the first time in their life that they've had that opportunity, that accessibility to sacred knowledge, that they can actually have the opportunity to ask questions, because we're very open. We say, look, whatever question you've got on that topic, you ask. This is a forum for learning, and people have basic questions, complicated questions, but the important thing is that they know that they can access scholarship, and I think that's what's been missing for a long time. A lot of times it was either you're a layman or you're a scholar. There's no in between. And I think this is where the bridge has been
changing.
It's been filled, because now people can, they might never become a scholar, but they can still be scholarly. They can still have a scholarly way of thinking. They can still have enough knowledge to be very beneficial people in their own community. So I think that's probably the most important thing for people to bear in mind. And remember, you're only asking them to commit for 10 months. It's not a long period of time. And in terms of what Shaykh Ruzwan was saying about, new Muslims have joined, but even people have been involved in da'wah for a long time. People have been teaching Islam in circles and stuff for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. They've come and they've seen that there's gaps in their knowledge. So there might be certain things that they already knew, but there's definitely things in that course that they have never come across. So it's filling in the gap. It's making it a wholesome, holistic education rather than bits and bobs, which a lot of people have got. And the last thing would be that saying people are thinking, should they do it, should they not do it? There's certain types of knowledge that are obligatory upon you. It's fard ayn. Every individual must know, and you have a responsibility, and you'll be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you've worshipped him the way he's asked you to do it. And if you had the ability to seek that knowledge and you didn't do it, and then as a consequence of that you're not doing things properly, then you're going to be accountable for that.
Okay. And yourself, Ruzwan, what's your favourite subject you love to teach? I could probably guess, but I don't want to.
I love every single topic, which is actually the truth. Okay. Every topic I come to, there's something in it that just comes to life. But obviously Creed, Aqidah is the one I absolutely love too much. But I love them all.
Alhamdulillah.
And I'm surprised you don't say the same.
I do love them all, but family is the one that everybody just comes alive. And I mean, from a student's perspective, the feedback we get, the one that they enjoyed the most is tazkiyah, purification of the heart, because that's something that they've just never been taught. They've never come across it, and when they do, they realise that this is where it all happens.
It really touches the heart.
Yeah, if you don't get if you don't sort your heart out, if you don't have a sound heart, then no matter what you're doing, you're always going to be kept behind. You're never going to attain that spiritual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for a lot of people, it's a wake up call. The tazkiyah, it's something which moves them, makes them think, and I think that changes a lot of people.
Sure. I was asking you in terms of would you see iSyllabus in the next 4 or 5 years? I mean, you're going to be continuing with a 1-year course, or is there any development?
Inshallah, the 1-year course is going to be rolled out city by city, because there's a need anywhere. There's a community that wants to improve itself. The iSyllabus is almost perfect for that. Any community in any city in Britain that wants to improve its outreach work with non-Muslims, wants to increase its kind of facilities for young people. It wants to create a strong group of people that are knowledgeable.
Good people, good citizens.
Yeah. That anywhere there's that city, the iSyllabus will work, the 1-year course. But also what we're doing now for people that are more serious is to create a 4-year course, which will create people that can give khutbahs, can give talks, can give advice, religious advice, at the level that they're able to do that, in a way that societies will be self-sustained. You'll have people that can give khutbahs, talks, reminders, radio shows. They can present on radio shows with a lot of knowledge. That's basically what the 4-year course is about. So inshallah, the next stepping stone is basically the 4-year course, which we're starting this year in Glasgow. So inshallah, people that finished the previous years are going to be starting this 4-year course in Islamic Studies. It's called the iSyllabus Plus. And it goes into everything that we've studied in the 1-year course, but in a lot more depth. We do inheritance law, we do philosophy of religion, we do the seerah, all these kind of topics. Also the hadith that related to law. I mean, a lot of depth, things that we studied over long periods of time in the Middle East. They're summarised, translated into English, accessible to people. So even the kind of most minute details, they're kind of covered as well. So that's exciting, because there's not really anything in Britain that does that. Because I've looked and I kind of know what kind of subjects are taught. In English, there's nothing like that. I would hasten to say, even West, even America, with that much detail. So inshallah, that's very exciting.
Excellent.
For people to do that.